Okay, so yeah, so feeling the ground. And just feeling it as something that you're grabbing all the time. So I'm pulling myself with the legs rather than pushing. And just feeling the verticality of gravity. So the importance of just bringing this forwards a little bit so that you're aligning with the light lines of flux. You remember in magnetism? There's all these sort of vertical lines and you've just got to slot into one of them. Just the bottom part of the spine, really, not the top. The top can lean back as much as it wants. And then just moving. So I pull with the leg and I pull with the leg. So just feel the spirit. So to pull with the foot, it's like pulling with the hand. If I want to pull something with the hand, first of all, I have to really open it so that I can then clasp the thing. And then I pull it towards me. So it's the same with the foot. So the foot has to really open. So to open the foot, something in you has to open. So it's not just the foot, everything opens. So everything opens and then you clasp and that starts the pulling. So something here really opens and then you grasp. Yeah. So your spirit is undergoing a real change in intensity as it opens up and then grips and draws you across. Yeah, so we just, so to start off in Tai Chi, it's all about relaxation and basically trying to just do everything as efficiently as possible so that you're not sort of wasting energy. But then when you get into spirit, and if you don't get into spirit, I quite honestly can't see the point in doing it, then it's sort of it becomes the opposite. So you start trying to find ways of being inefficient. You're just using as much energy and passion as possible to do things that are really quite simple. Yeah. So here something happens inside me and then I really clasp. So even this becomes an act of passion. So in that Byung-Chul handbook that I included on the email at the weekend, which I'm sure you haven't looked at, it's really quite interesting, yeah, because he's saying basically that people don't act anymore. People don't really do things. They make choices instead, and everything is made so that once you've made a choice, it sort of happens for you. You don't really need to do anything, yeah. And so what he's saying is that, to actually act, to do something, you need hands and feet. Because doing normally involves sort of moving things around or moving you around. Whereas to choose just needs a finger. You just press your smartphone and you've made a choice, yeah? And so here we just want to really feel the heart that goes into an act. So it becomes an act of spirit primarily. Yeah, so when you're using spirit, it's as though you're getting angry. It's as though you're going to lose your temper. You're getting angry with everything, yeah? With the thing you're pulling, with yourself, yeah? So anger is useful because, you know, when you get angry, it just musters your energy. And you're just so much more, then more capable, yeah? So that's the meaning of anger. Anger is for you to sort of just be able to put more energy into the next act, which is normally losing your temper and hitting someone or whatever. So here we're just trying to use that emotion without getting run away with it. Yeah, so when you're pulling, you're becoming round. The knee is going out. The whole leg is becoming round. The shoulder and the elbow is coming out. So, and you're just becoming more central. You're becoming more concentrated in the dantian. So it's an intensification. So you're using the simplest of actions in order to whip yourself into a frenzy, into an impassioned frenzy. So what starts off as a gentle, relaxed, meditative movement ends up being the opposite. So there has to be this element of switching. It becomes the opposite of what it was. Otherwise, it's not yin and yang. It's not Taoist. So, so I'm bending the leg. So the leg is becoming round. It's becoming ward-offy. Okay, so let's. So I remember, you know, when John was trying to get me to just work on physical strength more, you know, he said, you know, when you practice the form, you should be so tense that you're shaking. Your body is just shaking all the time. Yeah. And so it's just using the muscles to fight each other. Yeah. So normally, you know, if I'm going to bend my arm and straighten it, so I use this muscle to bend it, and this is relaxed and stretches. And then I tense this muscle to straighten it, and this stretches. Yeah. So that's like a mechanical movement, the movement of a machine, like a piston or just a lever. Yeah. So what we want is to basically have the bicep and the tricep sort of working all the time and sort of pulling and fighting each other. Yeah. So I'm moving, and it's a real struggle. Yeah. And so I can't just do this. I can't just do this, because as soon as these two muscles start fighting, it gets all of me in. It gets my spine and those really deep muscles that we really want to strengthen and activate. Yeah. And particularly in the leg. Yeah. So the hamstring fighting the quad. So here my hamstrings are tightening in order to pull my buttocks down into my legs, at the same time that my quads are working to stop me from falling down. Yeah. So both of them are sort of Yeah. So it's, so the bone with the muscles either side, the muscles almost feel like they're sort of twined around the bone and around each other. Like when you see two snakes, doing like a courtship dance, they sort of rear up and they're just sort of twisting around each other like this. And that's how it feels in the legs. So just the action of the muscles fighting each other produces turns, twists and turns. So it just becomes really natural to turn. You can't not turn if you've got the muscles sort of working properly. Yeah, so just this sense of sort of withdrawing. So your Dan Chen is not just a place that you settle, it's the Dan Chen is drawing in as though it's trying to meet the Min Meng on the back. Okay. And now let's just do this one where we just imagine you're pulling a rope. So you're just reaching up and then pulling down, and just, you want to feel the effort of pulling it down. You want to feel like that's actually quite difficult, like you're ringing a bell in the church, where it's quite, you need a lot of strength to actually pull the rope down. So I'm pulling down. So this is like my latissimus dorsi. It's like if you were doing sort of this with the machine, but also the hamstrings are working to actually pull the whole body down. So your arm is pulling down, but your leg is pulling the arm as well. And the center of that effort is the Dan Chen. So if you get the Dan, so what we'd like is to get the Dan Chen to sort of contract a little bit, and for that to spark the contraction in the hamstrings and the lats. Yeah, so the more you contract one side, the more the other side opens up. And then just the same thing, but now pull it as though you're pulling a rope through you. It's just reaching forwards and pull. Yeah, so the effort goes into the pull. The hand just goes out because that's what the other side of the body wants to do, the opposite. So I'm pulling in. I'm pulling in. I'm pulling in. And just feel it, like the leg is pulling the ground at the same time. Yeah, so you're really going into the leg. You're really sinking into the leg. But not in a relaxed way, in a pulling way. Yeah, so the leg is pulling me down into the leg. Ooh. Yeah, so with each pull, something inside you is tightening up. Discipline. Pull, pull. Ooh. Okay, so now okay. So now let's just work with a chair. Have you got a chair there? Just need something with a back to it. So this is really just to sort of do the opposite really of what we've just been doing. So that was quite intense and sort of tense, intense and tense. So now we just want to just using the arm just to move yourself from side to side. Yeah. So I'm pushing the chair this way in order to move my body the other way. Yeah, so this is what we naturally do with the legs. So when you're moving forwards, when you're walking, your feet are actually pushing the ground in the opposite direction. and you don't think about it. It's just natural because you've been doing it for so long. But if you were to say to someone, okay, I want you to move forwards by pushing backwards, they'd get really confused, yeah? Because they're not aware that they're actually doing it. So here we just want to feel, I pull the chair that way and it makes me move the other way. And just trying to get the movement coming from the arm. Of course, the legs are supporting you, but you just want to feel the resistance of your weight. It's not fighting you, it just requires a certain effort. So you have to push the chair down as well to stop it slipping. So just feel what you need to do with the arm. Just to get yourself to just, it almost feels like you're floating. It's got an element of hovering. And just try and be honest. Watch it. You know, is it the arm doing the movement, or are you actually doing it with the leg and using the arm at the same time? So it requires a mind that can concentrate, that can watch and listen, and is interested in honesty above all else. So, and you can just feel the energy. So as soon as I start pulling in this direction, it's as though something comes up and then I can sort of float across. So it's like something happens to sort of loosen my weight on the foot, and then I can glide. And so it's very much to do with spirit. And you need hardly any, you know, you can just use like a little finger, yeah, here. And whee. And it's just one of those things that, you know, if you practice it, you'll get better at it miraculously. And then just other hand. Yeah, so the enemy really is like momentum. Yeah, so you don't want to sort of anticipate. You want to feel every millimeter of movement as being coming from the same source. And just a mind that is just very open. So the mind is open to surprise. It doesn't already know what's going to happen. That's anticipation, really. And there's nothing worse, because it's basically just really stupid. So I really want to be surprised and delighted by something I hadn't expected. Yeah, this was John's big thing. And like everything else, it just depends upon you being able to keep your mind on it. And the only real way that you'll do that is if you find it really enjoyable, if you find it really fascinating. Yeah, so that's the key to everything, really, is just quietening the mind, just having it present. And it's like everything that you do sort of explodes into like blossoms, yeah. As John would have said, the heart blossoms, the heart bursts into flower. It just becomes active. And then that's just spirit or soul, you know, so the butterflies. You just become, you're attended by butterflies, you're attended by angels. Yeah. They're fluttering around you, just delighted by your ability to activate spirit. Okay, now let's try the same concept, but now pulling in order to make a turn. Yeah, so what I want to do is turn side to side like this. Yeah. But again, I just want to use the chair. So if I just use my right hand, if I push the chair that way, it will push my hip around here. And then if I pull the chair towards me, it'll pull my hip towards it. Yeah. So I'm just pushing and pulling the chair in order to effectuate a turn. And again, I just want to feel how it feels when my body is being moved, not by the legs. So my legs, they're trying to relax. Yeah, I mean, they're obviously not relaxed because they're holding me up, but they're relaxing their activity. So they're becoming passive in a way. And then you can just watch this, and just the quality of the movement, just how smooth and beautiful it is. And again, just feeling the shift in the mood as you turn. So each angle that you're turning through has got a slightly different mood. So here it's like really sort of open. And then here it tends to close down as you come through the front, and then it will open again. And just trying to keep, especially the sacrum, the way, you know, the legs gripping the sacrum, just keep that relaxed. So the heaviness of the sacrum can just maintain some sort of verticality in my lower back. So the more I twist, the more difficult the sacrum becomes, yeah. But that's good. It just means you're getting it into places you're not used to. Yeah. And you can just sort of, once you've felt it and you're sort of used to it, you don't even need the chair. You can just imagine you're pushing the chair, because it's all in the mind, really. And then just the other hand. Yeah. Yeah, and above all else, it has to be pleasurable. I like, imagine, surfing. Imagine how pleasurable that is, riding the wave. So this is just like a very mild version, really. Okay. And now let's just put the chair back. Stick it over here. And now just turning as though there's the same sort of quality to the turn, like it's, as you turn, you're relaxing the legs and the sacrum. Yeah, so the more you can relax it, the more sort of just content and happy inside you feel. Okay. And now just the thing we've practiced a few times intermittently, because this is actually really quite difficult. just using the twisting of the foot to turn the waist. So what I'm going to do, I want to turn this way by having my weight in this foot. So I want to twist the foot this way as though I'm trying to do this, but my foot doesn't move because my weight's in it. And so what it does, it twists me this way. And then I twist the foot the other way and it pulls me round this way. So I'm only using my right leg to turn myself. And then I turn this way. Yeah. So in a sense, this is the easy turn. This is like the equivalent to straightening the leg. And this is the difficult turn. This is like using the hamstrings or yielding. So this is tending to push the chest up, and I express like this. And then when I turn the foot this way, I go the opposite. So this is like letting the energy out, and then this is drawing it back in. And it's all coming from the twisting of the foot. So it's really like the calf muscles, really. Yeah, so this is the bit we really want to get into, the pulling part. And it's difficult. So what you really have to do is, because it's difficult to twist the foot like this, yeah? And so it comes more from, rather than thinking I'm pulling the big toe round, it's more like something from here comes out. It's almost like shoulder stroke, yeah? So I've turned here and then it's like something from here activates. Yeah, so it's more from the heel. John used to talk about, the wings on the heels of Mercury or Hermes. And so like you've got these wings on your heel, and the one on the outside just wraps around. And so it's very much, you think about, like, the heel was very important for the Greeks, yeah, like Achilles, yeah. That's how, there's like a real vulnerability, a real energy, a real spirit to the heels, but not so much the sole of the heel as the tendon at the back and the sides. So here, whoa. Yeah, so those little wings on my heel, I just, like when a pigeon just opens its wings, especially like to sun itself, yeah? And so they become really, you see how big they are, yeah? So that action here, it's more like a becoming round than it is a twisting the leg, because the leg twisting that way, there's so little power in it, but there's a lot of power in the wings opening up. So, yeah. Okay. Now let's just try the other leg. So just simple to start with, just twisting and then twisting in. Yeah. So this is just sort of yielding in order to draw something in. Yeah. And then this is like attacking to send something out. But then when the spirit starts getting involved, then you realize that as you draw something in, something of you energetically comes out. Yeah. So here, as I draw in, my wings come out, my energy comes out from the back. Ooh. Twist. Yeah, so for something that in a sense has so little physical power, this twist here, the way we compensate for that is just to really mean it, to do it with real heart and passion and spirit. So again, it's like you blossom, but not from the front heart, but from the back heart. Yeah. And woo. Yeah, and you just repeat it until you get somewhere you've never got before, until you reach the unknown. There's a story of a journalist going to interview John Coltrane. So he'd arranged to go around to his house, and he arrived, and Coltrane answered the door and says, "Oh, I forgot you were coming. I'm just about to start practicing." And the guy said, "Oh, it's okay, I can wait." So he had the privilege of just sitting, waiting in the room as Coltrane was practicing. And 2.5 hours later, the guy was just blown away. He says, "Wow, that was amazing." He says, "Nah." Coltrane just says, "Nah." He says, "I didn't even get through what I know." Yeah. So for him, practice was getting into what you don't know. Yeah. Getting into dangerous territory. Getting to the place where you're going to be transformed. So out of ego and into spirit. Ooh. And then it closes down. And then your wings come out and wrap around you, like the superhero's cloak, cape. You just gather yourself in. So withdrawing from the world is an act of energy. It's something that happens because something in you has come out of the back. Ooh. So front heart, back heart. The back heart goes into the wings. The front heart is like this sort of burnished breastplate, and the back heart are these two massive wings that come out of your shoulder blades. And it's all coming from the action of that foot on the ground. Okay, so now let's just come back. Yeah, so the twisting of the foot, it's not just like this from the sort of ankle. It's much more like, the way the hands work, yeah? The roof tile hands, yeah? So really the toes are doing the same thing on the ground. And it's that that's producing the turn. It's the twisting action of the foot and the toes, rather than just a twist in the ankle. Okay, so now let's just squat. And again, just feeling the mood, feeling how you just get tough inside. Yeah? So this really shows you the sort of mood of withdrawal. So when you're withdrawing into yourself in the right way, with the tail tucking under slightly and the min meng pressing back, this is how you should feel. Yeah, because here the min meng is really pushing back. Because of the stretch in the lower back, across the lower back. Yeah, so just think how like delicate the hands are. You can do these sort of intricate and delicate things with the fingers and the hands. So we'd like that same sort of thing in the feet. And then just placing the hands on the ground and just feel as they go down, it's like there's an activity that just drains out of the upper body. The mind is able to just relax and just quieten in a way that it can't when your hands are off the ground. So your mind needs to be quiet enough so you can feel this effect. So you can feel the ground wanting to just earth you, wanting to drain your excess neurotic activity out of you. So the mind can just be clear. So we want a mind that is just always just watching the world rather than talking to itself. Yeah? So what we'd like is for these sort of hips and sacrum area to be relaxed enough so that the feet on the ground can have the same effect as this is having. So for that, basically your legs just need to be sort of just as active as the arms are in a sort of, not so much like passive slaves that are just obeying the ego, moving you from A to B, but they express, they're emotional, the legs are emotional, they feel things. And then just bringing the hands off. So just drop, so got the spine coming across the shoulder blades, down the arms, into the hands. And so we just, in our mind's eye, we just need to be able to just see our own structure and trace it, so from the feet, up the legs, into the sacrum, up the spine, across the shoulder blades, down the arms. So we're not just taking it for granted, there's a real awareness, there's an intention, there's an attention present all the time in my body, so that it's got a vibrant presence rather than just a dull stupidity. Okay, now let's put the hands down again and just rock some weight forwards. So just let the arms fill up with your weight and just feel them stacking from the ground like a pile of bricks in a column. So the strength comes up from the ground, the relaxation flows down from the top. And we want both of these flows. So the letting go flow that's going down and the building flow that's coming up to be present all the time. So the two sides of your body, the left and the right, they're always a little, and there's always an element of a fight there. Yeah. So one arm is pushing one way, the other arm is pushing the other way. Yeah. So this, and the contest just, it's always producing right wriggly turns. So like a turn that comes from the spine rather than from the hips. Okay, and then just rocking back. So you can really get, once you've been here a while, you can really get quite in it, yeah. And you can really feel you disappearing into the dantian. Okay, and then up. And so it'll always take a while to sort of get out of that and into this. Okay, and now let's just try just figurating, just with the one hand. Yeah, so there's those 2 points where we go through the middle, and we just want to try and make sure the palm is facing up at that point. So here you have to turn away from the front to get the hand over, under, and then. And again, just feeling it coming from this foot twisting, yeah. Try and, yeah. But again, it's more like the toes writhing on the ground that's producing the turn, rather than something that's too sort of mechanically simple. So both the leg and the arms, they're sort of twines with 5 components, yeah, the fingers or the toes. And so there's all this sort of, this a real sort of fluttering activity. Yeah, so I really believe that, basically since we took the technological turn, since we started being technological creatures rather than spiritual ones, we've tended to model ourselves on the prevalent machines. Yeah. So we, with the Industrial Revolution, we became very mechanical. The mind worked in a sort of rational, mechanical way. And now, of course, with digital technology, we've basically just become anxious and neurotic. There's all this sort of electrical fizziness, partly because we're in that environment all the time. The screens are just really bad for you. You just can't relax if you spend time on a screen. This is the great thing about going down to Sinai. There's no electricity. And I think it's that as much as anything that brings, you get so relaxed, you get almost like drugged. So this is the value of the ground. The ground will always offer, it's always there to sort of drain that excess out of you. It's just that we learn so well to cut off from it. And that is all just fear. That's all fear-based. Yeah? We're frightened of the ground. We're just getting them both. Ooh. Yeah, so you're so full of tension, but it's a moving tension. It's a dynamic tension. It's not stiff and blockish. It's wriggling through. You're just full of, like a bag of snakes that's just writhing and wriggling. And again, you just need that mind that can just be quiet in the middle. and just let it happen. Because if the mind gets too involved, you sort of lose it, or you get carried away with it, and then it just becomes an indulgence. So just feel the resistance. Everything you do in Tai Chi is resisted. And we're joining a class, we're doing the long form. And someone said to John, which way is your waist turning at that point? And John just thought for a while, just said both directions. Yeah. And that's when I realized it's not as simple as it looks. Yeah. And so the left and the right are always contending. Otherwise, you never get whipped into spirit. You have to wait until something angers you or excites you before spirit comes in. We want spirit to be there all the time in everything that we do. And it just, it makes you really tired. You work your spirit really well, you won't be able to look at things for a couple of days. Okay. And now let's just so it's something is there throbbing away. Yeah. So there's a heart to it. There's a heart to the work as well as a heart to you. And then let's just bring it up. And again, just the feeling of the hamstrings, just drawing the buttocks down into them. And the feeling of the quads straightening the leg. Yeah, so these are working and these are working. They both have to be sort of working all the time, but just gently. Otherwise, we've just become a machine. Yeah, so if you get into using the body in this sort of, using both sets of muscles, you really need to do stretching as well. And we just completely let that go and just draw the muscle out. Otherwise, the muscles will get shorter. That's what happened to John. Okay.